As a board-certified orthopedic surgeon, I have spent decades speaking with colleagues around the world, surgeons from Japan, Germany, Canada, the United States, and beyond. Every one of us has more than 40 years inside operating rooms and rehabilitation centers. We have watched bodies break, heal, rebuild, and, at times, fail. We have seen what aging does when strength disappears. And just as importantly, we have seen what happens when strength is restored, even late in life. Yet despite everything we know, a very different message keeps being repeated today. Young technology CEOs, AI-driven fitness startups, lab-made supplement companies, and the latest longevity influencers all promote the same simple idea. Walking is enough. They claim that after 75, resistance is unnecessary. That power training is dangerous. That steps alone will protect your body. But when you truly understand anatomy, biomechanics, and surgical outcomes, serious questions begin to surface. Questions these companies never want asked. How can walking rebuild muscle that has already wasted away? How can walking restore balance if deep stabilizer fibers are never activated? How can walking strengthen bones when there is no meaningful load, no tension, no resistance? How can walking prevent falls when fast-twitch reaction fibers are never trained? And how can walking alone protect a 75-year-old body that is losing strength every single month? It does not align with biomechanics. It does not align with surgical recovery outcomes. And it does not align with what we see in real patients every day. Because of that disconnect, 22 orthopedic surgeons, all with decades of experience, decided to search for the truth the hard way. We reviewed hundreds of peer-reviewed medical studies. We analyzed rehabilitation programs from 9 different countries. We tested routines on ourselves. In total, we evaluated 297 different exercises from around the world, including 144 from Japan alone, a country where aging is studied, respected, and managed with precision rather than fear. Most exercises produced modest benefits. Some failed entirely. But 5, only 5, consistently delivered something medicine rarely promises: visible, measurable, and repeatable muscle restoration even after the age of 75. That is why, in this video, we are revealing the 5 exercises every senior over 75 should be doing instead of relying on walking alone. And stay with us, because exercise number 2 rebuilds lost muscle faster than any routine we tested across more than 4 decades of orthopedic practice. For those who value evidence over opinion, full research references are included in the description. Before we begin, let me ask you something. How old are you? Share your age in the comments. We are reading and replying personally to every response. Now, let's begin with number 5. A movement almost no senior practices, yet one that can awaken strength that walking will never reach. Exercise number 5 is heel-to-toe walking, also known clinically as tandem walking. At first glance, it may look simple, but the science behind why this movement works is remarkable. Heel-to-toe walking directly targets one of the fastest declining systems after the age of 75, the balance and proprioception network. This includes the small stabilizing muscles of the feet and ankles, the deep core, and the neural pathways connecting the inner ear, spinal cord, and brain. When seniors walk normally, their feet land wide and stable, requiring minimal balance correction. Heel-to-toe walking removes that safety margin. Each step forces the nervous system to make rapid micro-adjustments, reactivating stabilizer muscles and retraining balance reflexes that quietly shut down with age. This is not just movement. It is neurological rehabilitation. And this is only the beginning. This exercise targets something most people have never been taught to think about: proprioception. Proprioception is your body's internal awareness system. It allows you to know where your body is in space without needing to look. It's the reason you can touch your nose with your eyes closed, step off a curb without staring at your feet, or walk downstairs while holding a conversation. After the age of 75, the nerve endings responsible for proprioception begin sending weaker and less precise signals to the brain. This is not a minor change. It fundamentally alters how the brain perceives foot placement, surface stability, and body position. As a result, Balance becomes unreliable even when muscles are still relatively strong. Research from the University of Pittsburgh showed that proprioceptive accuracy declines by approximately 25% between the ages of 65 and 80. This means the brain is receiving less dependable information about where the feet are and what they're standing on. When that information becomes distorted, the risk of missteps, stumbles, and falls rises sharply. Heel-to-toe walking directly challenges and retrains the system. The movement forces your brain and nervous system to communicate with far greater precision because you are essentially walking on a narrow line, similar to a tightrope. Each step demands accurate foot placement and immediate correction if balance begins to drift. To perform the exercise, you place one foot directly in front of the other so that the heel of the front foot gently touches the toes of the back foot with every step. This creates a very narrow base of support. Because there is little margin for error, your nervous system must work overtime to keep you upright and stable. For safety and maximum benefit, begin near a wall, countertop, or sturdy surface so you have something to reach for if needed. Stand tall with your shoulders relaxed and pulled slightly back. Choose a point about 15 feet ahead of you and keep your eyes focused on it. This visual anchor helps stabilize your balance while your nervous system recalibrates. Begin walking forward slowly, placing each foot carefully in the heel-to-toe pattern. Move with intention. The goal is not speed. The goal is precision, control, and awareness. Rushing defeats the purpose. Aim for about 20 controlled steps in a row, and try to practice this exercise twice per day. A study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found that older adults who practiced heel-to-toe walking for just 8 weeks improved their dynamic balance scores by 19%. Dynamic balance is the type of balance required during real movement, walking through crowds, turning corners, stepping on uneven ground, not simply standing still. Participants also reported feeling more confident navigating busy environments and irregular surfaces. As your balance improves, the exercise can be safely progressed. You may gently turn your head side to side while walking, or briefly close your eyes for 1 or 2 steps at a time. These variations mimic real-world situations such as low lighting, visual distractions, or turning to look at something while walking. Orthopedic surgeons recommend heel-to-toe walking as a foundational exercise because it retrains the critical connection between the feet and the brain. This neurological pathway weakens quietly with age and is not restored by regular walking on flat, predictable surfaces. Heel-to-toe walking fills that gap, rebuilding balance from the nervous system outward. This is not about doing more steps. It is about rebuilding control, awareness, and confidence where falls actually begin. Now, let's move on to an exercise that targets a completely different problem that develops after the age of 75. Before continuing, if you've been finding this information helpful, take a moment to support the channel. Liking and subscribing helps ensure that more seniors see guidance that actually protects their health and independence. New, evidence-based senior health videos are released regularly, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Exercise number 4 is the chair squat. This movement addresses one of the strongest predictors of whether a person will remain independent as they age, the ability to rise from a seated position without using the hands. It may sound simple, almost too basic to matter, but research shows it is one of the most powerful indicators of long-term health and survival. A well-known study called the Sitting, Rising Test, published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology, found a direct link between this movement and longevity. Individuals who struggled to sit down and stand up without assistance had a 5 to 6 times higher risk of death during the study period compared to those who could perform the movement easily and with control. That is not a small difference. It highlights just how essential this ability is. After the age of 75, the muscles responsible for standing up from a chair, primarily the quadriceps and glute muscles, begin to lose strength and mass at an accelerated rate. This process, known as sarcopenia, speeds up significantly in the late 70s and 80s. Research published in the Journal of Gerontology shows that adults lose approximately 3% of their muscle strength every year after age 75. Over just 5 years, that can amount to nearly a 15% loss, which directly impacts mobility, balance, and independence. Chair squats are one of the most effective ways to slow, and even reverse, This decline because they train the exact movement pattern required in daily life. Every time you stand up from the toilet, get out of your car, rise from the dinner table, or leave a chair, you're performing a squat. This exercise doesn't train muscles in isolation. It trains real-world function. The movement itself is simple, but how you perform it matters. Begin seated in a sturdy chair with your feet flat on the floor, positioned about hip-width apart. Cross your arms over your chest or extend them straight out in front of you to prevent using your hands for assistance. From there, lean your torso slightly forward so your weight shifts over your feet. Push firmly through your heels and stand all the way up until your hips and knees are fully extended. Pause briefly at the top, standing tall and balanced. Then lower yourself back down slowly and with control. The lowering phase is especially important because it is where much of the muscle-building stimulus occurs. Avoid dropping quickly into the chair. Control the descent every time. A study from Tufts University found that seniors who performed chair squats 3 times per week for 12 weeks increased their leg strength by an average of 28%. That level of improvement translates directly into safer movement, reduced fall risk, and greater confidence in daily life. Chair squats are not just an exercise. They are a practice of independence, a way to preserve the ability to live life on your own terms for as long as possible. Even more impressive, participants didn't just gain strength. Their walking speed increased by 15%, and their ability to climb stairs improved by 22%. These are not cosmetic improvements. These are functional changes that directly determine whether someone can move confidently and independently through daily life. Orthopedic surgeons see a very common pattern in older patients. Many can still walk reasonably well, but they struggle tremendously with sit-to-stand movements. These are the individuals who eventually need grab bars installed throughout their homes, who hesitate to attend social gatherings, or who avoid restaurants and public places altogether because they are embarrassed about needing help just to stand up. Walking alone does not prepare the body for these moments. For chair squats, aim for 2 to 3 sets of 10 repetitions each day. If standing up without using your hands feels too difficult right now, start by lightly pushing off the armrests. Over time, gradually reduce how much assistance you use. The long-term goal is to perform the movement with your arms crossed over your chest, relying solely on leg and core strength. Once that becomes comfortable, you can progress the exercise by holding a light weight against your chest or by using a slightly lower chair. These progressions increase strength safely without adding unnecessary risk. The next exercise targets something that walking completely ignores, yet becomes critical for fall prevention after age 75. Exercise number 3 is standing hip circles. This is a movement most people have never been taught, yet orthopedic surgeons consider it absolutely essential in later life. Standing hip circles target 2 key elements at once: hip mobility and the strength of the small stabilizer muscles surrounding the hip joint. These muscles, along with adequate hip flexibility, are what allow your body to recover when you stumble or trip. When balance is lost, the body instinctively tries to step to the side, rotate the leg, or reposition the foot to regain stability. If the hips are stiff or the stabilizer muscles are weak, these emergency corrections happen too slowly, and that is when falls occur. Research published in the Journal of Biomechanics found that hip mobility decreases by an average of 20% between the ages of 65 and 80, and this loss of mobility is directly associated with increased fall risk. Another study from the University of Maryland found that weakness in the hip abductor muscles, the muscles that move the leg out to the side, was the single strongest predictor of falls in adults over 70. Stronger even than overall leg strength or standard balance test scores. Standing hip circles address both of these problems simultaneously. The movement takes the hip joint through its full range of motion while forcing the stabilizing muscles to activate continuously to keep you balanced on one leg. To perform this exercise safely, stand next to a wall or a sturdy chair. Place one hand lightly on it for support. Shift your weight onto your inside leg, then lift your outside leg so your knee rises gently toward your chest. From this position, you will begin moving the leg in a slow, controlled circular motion, retraining mobility, stability, and balance at the same time. This exercise does not look dramatic, but its impact is profound. It restores the body's ability to react, correct, and recover, exactly where falls begin. From the lifted position, slowly move your raised knee outward to the side, then gently sweep it behind you, and finally bring it back to the starting position. You are essentially drawing a large, controlled circle with your knee while keeping your standing leg steady and stable. Perform 5 slow circles in one direction, then reverse and complete 5 circles in the opposite direction. After finishing, switch legs and repeat the sequence on the other side. The key to this exercise is control. Make the circles as large as your current mobility allows, but move slowly and deliberately. Rushing through the motion completely defeats the purpose. Your goal is to retrain coordination, stability, and joint awareness, not to simply complete repetitions. A clinical trial published in Age and Aging found that older adults who performed hip mobility exercises, such as standing hip circles for just 10 minutes per day, improved their lateral stability by 31% over 3 months. Lateral stability is your ability to remain upright when you are pushed, pulled, or forced to move sideways, exactly the type of balance required to prevent falls in real-world situations. The same study also showed that reaction time for taking a protective step improved by nearly 20%. Orthopedic surgeons explain that after age 75, the hip joint often becomes the weakest link in the chain. Many people focus on knee pain or back stiffness, but the hips are what allow you to move in all directions and make rapid corrections when something unexpected happens. Walking only moves the hips forward and backward through a very limited range. It does nothing to preserve full hip mobility or to strengthen the small stabilizer muscles that protect you when balance is challenged. For best results, perform hip circles first thing in the morning when your joints may feel stiff, and again before bed. Your hips will feel better, and more importantly, they may protect you from a devastating fall. Now we move into the top 2 exercises, and the next one often surprises people because it involves no visible movement at all. Exercise number 2 is the isometric wall push. This is one of the exercises orthopedic surgeons consider absolutely essential for anyone over the age of 75. An isometric exercise is one in which your muscles generate force against resistance without the joint actually moving. You are contracting muscle fibers intensely while holding a static position. This type of exercise offers unique advantages for older adults. First, isometric exercises are extremely joint-friendly. There is no impact, no repetitive motion, and no forcing joints through painful or arthritic ranges of movement. That makes them both safe and effective. Second, research shows that isometric training is especially powerful for building the type of strength that prevents falls. A landmark study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that isometric training increased muscle force production by 35% in adults over 70, compared to a 22% improvement from traditional resistance training. Even more relevant to fall prevention, the isometric training group improved their rate of force development by 40%. Rate of force development refers to how quickly your muscles can generate strength. This is critical when you stumble and need to catch yourself instantly. Strength alone is not enough. Speed matters. The wall push specifically targets your core, chest, shoulders, and deep stabilizer muscles throughout your trunk. These muscles keep your body upright and allow you to brace yourself if balance is suddenly lost. To perform this exercise correctly, stand facing a wall at approximately arm's length. Place both palms flat against the wall at shoulder height. Step your feet slightly back, so your body forms a straight line from your head through your shoulders, hips, knees, and heels. From this position, push into the wall as hard as you safely can, engaging your entire body as one unit. This exercise may look simple, but its effects are profound. It trains your body to generate force quickly and safely, exactly what you need to stay upright, stable, and independent after 75. When you perform the isometric wall push correctly, you should feel your core engage, your chest and shoulders working, and even your legs activating to anchor your body firmly to the ground. This is not an upper body exercise alone. It is a full body stabilization drill. Hold the push for 10 to 15 seconds, breathing normally throughout. Then relax briefly and repeat the effort 3 to 5 times. One of the greatest advantages of this exercise is how easily the intensity can be adjusted. If you want more challenge, Simply push harder. If you're just starting out or feeling fatigued, ease the pressure slightly. The exercise adapts instantly to your current ability, which makes it ideal for older adults. Research from McMaster University found that isometric exercises performed for as little as 12 minutes per week led to significant improvements in blood pressure, bone density, and muscle strength in adults over 65. Participants also reported feeling more stable during everyday activities and more confident in their physical capabilities. Orthopedic surgeons emphasize that the wall push trains the entire muscular chain from the hands through the arms and shoulders into the core and down through the hips and legs. This teaches all of these muscles to fire together in coordination, which is exactly what happens when you need to brace yourself, catch your balance, or prevent a fall. If pushing against a wall is not convenient, this exercise can also be performed by pushing into a sturdy countertop or even while seated, pressing firmly against a desk. The key is not the position but the effort. You must push as hard as you safely can against something that does not move, holding that effort for the full 10 to 15 seconds. And now we arrive at exercise number 1, the single most important movement for preventing falls and maintaining independence after age 75. Exercise number 1 is the single leg stance. When orthopedic surgeons talk about the most underutilized exercise in senior fitness, this is often the one they mean. Standing on one leg may look too simple to matter, but the scientific evidence tells a very different story. A major study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine followed more than 1,500 adults aged 70 and older over a 10-year period. At the start of the study, researchers tested each participant's ability to stand on one leg for just 10 seconds. The results were striking. Those who could not complete this simple test had an 18% higher risk of death from any cause during the study period. Even more relevant, the inability to stand on one leg was associated with a threefold increase in the risk of serious falls. Another study from Germany found that single-leg stance training alone reduced fall risk by 43% in adults over 75. A 43% reduction from one simple exercise. No other single intervention came close to matching that result. The reason the single-leg stance is so powerful is that it integrates everything at once. Balance, proprioception, hip stability, core activation, ankle strength, and neural coordination all must work together simultaneously when you stand on one foot. If any part of that system is weak, the body immediately reveals it. This is not just an exercise. It is a real-time test and a training tool for the exact systems that keep you upright, stable, and independent after 75. This is also exactly what happens during walking, although most people never realize it. Walking is essentially a repeated series of single-leg stances. Every time you take a step, you are briefly balancing on one leg while the other leg swings forward. The stronger and more stable you are on each leg individually, the safer and more confident your walking becomes overall. To perform the single-leg stance correctly, stand near a wall, countertop, or sturdy chair so you have something within reach for safety. Lift one foot just 1 or 2 inches off the ground. There is no need to lift it high. The focus should be on keeping the standing leg steady, hip, knee, and ankle aligned, without excessive swaying or shifting of weight. Try to hold this position for 30 seconds on each leg. If that feels too difficult at first, start with whatever time you can manage and gradually build up. This exercise should be practiced at least 3 times per day. Orthopedic surgeons often recommend doing it while brushing your teeth in the morning and at night, and once more while waiting for coffee to brew or food to heat up. Attaching the exercise to habits you already have dramatically increases consistency, which is what produces real results. Research from the University of North Carolina found that single-leg stance ability improved by an average of 27% after just 4 weeks of daily practice. Participants also demonstrated improved walking speed and reduced body sway during standing balance tests. These changes directly translate into safer movement in everyday life. As you improve, the exercise can be progressed in simple but powerful ways. You can try closing your eyes while standing on one leg, gently turning your head from side to side, or standing on a slightly unstable surface, such as a folded towel. Each of these progressions challenges your balance system in new ways and continues strengthening the neural pathways that keep you upright and protected. Orthopedic surgeons make an important distinction about why walking alone cannot replace this exercise. During walking, you are on one leg for only a fraction of a second before the other foot touches down. That brief moment is not long enough to fully challenge and strengthen single-leg stability. By holding a single-leg stance for 30 seconds or longer, you give your nervous system time to fully activate all stabilizer muscles and build the endurance those muscles need to protect you throughout the day. Surgeons routinely see patients who can walk for long distances, but cannot stand on one leg for more than 5 seconds. These are often the individuals who fall while reaching for something on a shelf, stepping over a threshold, or turning suddenly. Their walking fitness did not translate into the balance and stability they actually needed. The single-leg stance fills the critical gap that walking leaves behind. So here is the reality. These are 5 exercises that orthopedic surgeons consider essential for anyone over the age of 75 who wants to remain independent and avoid the devastating falls that so often trigger a downward health spiral. Walking is valuable, and you should absolutely continue doing it. But as decades of research clearly show, walking alone leaves major gaps in physical readiness. Your proprioception, your ability to rise from a chair, your hip mobility, your trunk strength, and your single-leg stability all require targeted attention that walking simply does not provide. The encouraging news is that these 5 exercises together take less than 15 minutes per day. You do not need a gym membership. You do not need expensive equipment. And you do not need to be in peak physical condition to begin. Every one of these movements can be adjusted to match exactly where you are right now. Start with the exercise that feels most manageable and gradually add the others over time. Orthopedic surgeons often say that even performing just the number 1 exercise, the single-leg stance, 3 times per day already places you ahead of most people in your age group. Your future self will thank you for every minute you invest in these movements today. Take care of your body. It is the only one you have. Now, we would love to hear from you. Which of these 5 exercises are you going to start with today? And what has been your biggest challenge when it comes to staying active and maintaining balance as you've gotten older? Share your experience and thoughts in the comments.